The Naturalis in Leiden, this magnificent building, has an enormous collection of Ice Age fossils, mainly in this one big room with a giant map of the Netherlands in the Ice Age in the middle. And besides it are these magnificent giant animals, like this Irish giant deer, which had the largest antlers of any deer ever. And there are tons of smaller specimens in the walls, just covered by a thin metal mesh, like this jawbone from a European jaguar and the remains of macaque monkeys that once lived in the Netherlands. But the most impressive thing there by far was this giant mammoth skeleton, comprised of 300 different mammoths dredged up from the North Sea. Ironically, next to that, one of the most complete mammoth skulls in the world, and again, a bunch of other giant mammoth bones just in the walls. Just insanely huge. They also show that mammoth bones were pretty hollow to keep the weight down. First time seeing a mammoth turd, but not the first time seeing hair, which you can actually buy at some places. But this is the most I've ever seen in one place. Near those, a magnificent cave bear. They're pretty rare in the Netherlands, but very common in the Czech Republic, where this is from. One dredged up from the North Sea can be found in the Natuurmuseum in Tilburg. Loads of wild horse bones. In a separate room nearby, there was this skull of a woolly rhinoceros, and above that, the skull of what else but a saber-toothed tiger. But by far, the most amazing things I saw were the remains of what's called Java Man, the first Homo erectus ever discovered back in 1891 to 1892 by Dutch naturalist Eugene Dubois along the Solo River in Java, hence the name. The femur could maybe be human, but the skull cap is definitely Homo erectus. And though it dates vary widely, it could be between 400,000 and over 1,000,000 years old. This little shell displayed right next to Java Man is almost even more interesting because it has a very clearly deliberately cut zigzag pattern on it, despite being dated to 500,000 years ago. So it was probably made by an early hominid way before we came on the scene. So arguably, it's one of the earliest pieces of art ever made, and it wasn't even made by us. Though there's still a little bit of debate over that. And to end off, a fun fact. It was only identified for what it was by a graduate student in 2007.